What happens when the greatest chess player alive gives a regular guy a huge time advantage? This isn't just a rare chess match, it's something we see across all sports. From football stars challenging fans in a quick shootout to basketball pros facing influencers on the court, these moments aren't just about competition. They're about connecting with people in a fun, relatable way. In 2014, before successfully defending his World Chess Champion title against vishyanand, Magnus Carlsen was invited on a tour of Armenia. During the visit, he played a friendly game against an Armenian politician. To level the playing field, Magnus gave himself just 30 seconds on the clock, while his opponent had a full 5 minutes. But could this time disadvantage stop Magnus from achieving the expected result? Magnus started the game with the white pieces, opening with his pawn to e4. Then his opponent responded with pawn to e5. Despite the distraction of awful jazz music playing in the background, Magnus opted for the Ruy Lopez opening, moving his knight to f3, followed by his bishop to b5. The Armenian player developed his knight to e7, then played an a6 pawn push, followed by the inaccurate h6 pawn move. Seizing the opportunity, Magnus decided to take control of the center with pawn to d4. While his opponent hesitated with some of his moves, Magnus, in an attempt to play extremely fast to avoid losing on time, occasionally knocked over his pieces on the chessboard. After repositioning his bishop to c2, Magnus began his assault on the black king by advancing his pawn to d5, followed by moving his knight to d4, clearing the way for his f4 pawn. And when black moved his queen to e7, he successfully pushed it, attacking the knight. When black attempted some counterplay with bishop to g4, attacking Magnus's queen, Magnus calmly moved his queen to e1 and followed up with the strong f5 pawn push. At this point, Magnus had full control of the game, with more active pieces, a massive space advantage, and a black bishop nearly trapped. However, the only downside was the irritating music, which seemed to annoy Magnus significantly. Reacting to the attack on his knight, the Armenian player decided to retreat his knight to e5. Magnus then initiated his winning plan to capture the trapped light-squared bishop, starting with h3, followed by g4. After realizing that his bishop was now completely lost, black chose to make the most of it by sacrificing it for 2 pawns on g4. Now let's take a moment to analyze this position. Magnus now has a winning position, being ahead in material with an extra piece. Additionally, he has the potential for a deadly attack on the black king. However, the recent sacrifice made by the Armenian player has exposed Magnus's king, and with his clock running low, anything can happen. The game had now reached its peak excitement. Magnus decided to continue his attack by sacrificing another pawn on f6, clearing the f5 square for his knight. Black then attempted to maneuver with his queen via e5 and h5. However, Magnus appeared to be in complete control as he moved his bishop to f4, captured the g7 pawn, and finally played his queen to g3, neutralizing any threats from black. The only danger was the tight time control he was under. In an attempt to create complications for white, black moved his knight to f6, attacking the e4 pawn. While Magnus could have easily responded with simple moves like queen to g2 or rook to e1 to protect the pawn, he instead made his first inaccurate move by playing the complicated knight to f5, leaving the e4 pawn unprotected. Unable to figure out the trap behind the move, black decided to capture the e4 pawn. At this critical moment in the game, the world champion made a massive mistake. Magnus decided to capture the knight on g4 with his queen, intending to set up a fancy queen fork by taking the pawn on h6 with his knight. However, after this misstep, black could simply capture Magnus's queen and give a check to the white king. Realizing his mistake, Magnus quickly tried to retreat his queen to g2, but his opponent objected, citing the touch move rule in chess, which prevents Magnus from taking back the move. According to the rule, once you touch one of your opponent's pieces, you are obligated to capture it. understanding there was no way out, and with his queen lost, Magnus resigned, leaving his opponent to celebrate the unexpected victory. Interestingly, despite the blunder, Magnus's face showed no sign of disappointment. Perhaps he was just relieved to finally escape the torturous background music. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you won't miss any future content.